Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Monday, which means it's time for a 5x5. Now, this is where I take 5 subjects related to magic. I spend 5 minutes talking about each subject. I then move on to the next subject. It's always quick, it's always snappy, and more importantly, you never know what you're going to get. Now, this week's 5x5, we're going back to a format we've done a few times now, which is where I highlight a particular performer and I get them to perform 5 routines to me. And then I talk about why those 5 routines are such good choices. Now, these don't have to be 5 routines that perform themselves. They don't have to be 5 routines that have created themselves. It's just simply 5 routines that they enjoy performing that they want to share with the viewers of Magic TV. Now, today I'm going to be doing this 5x5 on Andy Smith. Now, if you don't know who Andy Smith is, I encourage you to go and have a look at the Talk Magic playlist right here on YouTube, or if you haven't got time, go onto the Talk Magic podcast on all good podcasting platforms and listen to the episode I did on Andy Smith. He is a very knowledgeable magician, and he works for Alakazam Magic, so he works with Peter Nardi and Harry Nardi and Jenny Nardi and all the Nardis, and he is one of the nicest guys. If you've got my Mirage coin set, he sat in on the explanation of the Mirage coin set. If you're going to pick up my new coin set through Alakazam, Apparition, he sits in on the explanation for that as well, because his coin work is incredible. Anyway, the last time I went to Alakazam, I was filming some projects. I took Andy to one side for 10 minutes in the shop at Alakazam, and I got him to perform some routines for the viewers of Magic TV. His knowledge is encyclopedic. The amount of tricks he knows borders on the thousands, but these are 5 tricks that he picked up on that he wanted to share with you guys. So without further ado, let's have a look at 5 of Andy Smith's favourite tricks. Okay, so the first trick that we're going to be talking about is Hellraiser 2 by Peter Duffy. Now, if you haven't seen Hellraiser 2, it's incredible. I'm going to do a performance of it. Well, I'm not going to do a performance. I'm going to show you a performance of Andy Smith performing that to camera now. So here we go. This is Hellraiser 2 by Peter Duffy.
This is Hellraiser 2 by Peter Duffy. Nemid, we have here some cards. We have the ace through to 4 of clubs and the 2 red kings. Okay, now I've removed the ace through to 4 of clubs because they run in order 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to start with the ace of clubs. What happens is that goes on the bottom. We give a little twist like this and something strange happens. It penetrates through the king and rises back to the top. I know you're impressed by that, so we'll do it again with the 2. Look, we take the 2, we place it on the bottom, we give a little twist, and the 2 goes through the king back to the top like this. We'll do it again with the 3. Look, we take the 3, we place that on the bottom, we give it a little twist, and if we do that, then the 3 comes back through the kings to the top. That only leaves us the 4. If we take the 4, we place that on the bottom, we give it a little twist like this, then the 4 will come back to the top. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yeah, but the cards are in your hand, so you could be doing some dodgy sleight of hand. So I will leave the cards on the table. Look, what we have to do is snap. That's the 4, that's the 3, that's the 2, and that's the ace passing through the kings, just like that.
Okay, so what a great first choice. Now, Hellraiser 2, I've talked about this on the channel before. In my opinion, it's a forgotten gem. It's a hidden gem. Hellraiser 2 is amazing, and one of the reasons it's so good is because of the visual nature of the trick. There's only 6 cards in play. It's very easy to follow. But the repetition of the card coming to the top each time is strong. It gets stronger each time that card comes to the top. And the beautiful moment, my favourite moment with this, is where you've just had the card come to the top 4 times, and then immediately you just do it again, and it happens in seconds. Like, honestly, Hellraiser 2 is such a strong piece. Now, Andy, as well as working with Alakazam, is one of the most in-demand performers and magicians in the Kent area. He's constantly going out. You can go follow him on Instagram by going and checking out Kent Magician, and he works for real people all the time. You know, you do sometimes get people in a magic shop that don't really perform to real people. Andy Smith does, and that shows with his choice of material. And the perfect example of this is Hellraiser 2. Andy told me that when I was sitting down and chatting to him afterwards, that he performs at a lot of places like Houdini's, where there's a lot of other magicians coming in and people will have seen a lot of magic. And he does stuff like Hellraiser because he knows that there's going to be no other magicians will have done that trick, and so it's very unique to him. And that's very true. One of the reasons for performing routines like this is to have a unique piece that you can perform. Yeah, how many times have you been to a gig and you've had somebody go, pick a card, and it's come to the top of the deck and it's signed, and somebody goes, oh, I know how that, I've seen that before, or, are you going to make a glass block appear next, or whatever it may be. People are wising up to magic. So the more unique routines that you can do, the better. And you don't have to look for the latest or greatest miracle. There's a lot of tricks that got published years ago that fit that bill, and Hellraiser 2 is perfect. My hat's off to Andy for picking out this first trick. It is so strong, such a really good trick. But we're going to move on now to his second choice. So let's have a look at the second Andy Smith trick that he considers to be one of his favourite tricks. Okay, so next up we have Ambitious Classic by Larry Jennings. Now, this is a trick that I've spoken about on the channel as well before. Ambitious Classic is great. Now, Andy told me that he always follows Hellraiser 2 with Ambitious Classic, and I totally see why. Hellraiser 2 involves an ace 2, 3, 4 of one suit, and two court cards. It's very easy to then take the two court cards, put them away, and go into this routine next, because you've already got the ace 2, 3, 4 on the table. I think this is a really, really clever way of actually routining the tricks together. Let's have a look at a performance of Andy doing this, and then I'll talk about why this choice is so good.
Ambitious Classic by Larry Jennings. Nemid.
Hello.
We had the ace through to 4 of clubs from previous, so let's try something else with these. Let we the ace 2, 3 and 4. In fact, we don't need the rest of the cards here. We only need the ace 2, 3 and the 4. Okay. Do you remember how earlier on I took the ace, I placed it on the bottom of the deck, and then it came to the top? Well, this time we're going to leave it in the middle. Remember, all I have to do to affect the magic is give it a little twist, and the ace comes to the top. Okay, impressive, right? Look, I'll do it again. Look, the ace goes into the middle, we give it a little twist like this, and if we do that, then the ace comes to the top. In fact, the ace has done its thing now, so let's try something that uses the 2. Now, the 2 goes into the middle, just like the ace, and if you give it a twist, it'll come back to the top. In fact, you can do this countless number of times, and every time you give it a little twist like this, it will come to the top. But it doesn't just do that, because it wants to do something more than the ace of clubs. What it can actually do is something far different. Look, if we take the ace, the 2, and put it between the 3 and 4, and we give it a little squeeze like that, it actually turns face down. Okay, look, if we take it and we reverse the 3 and the 4, and we give it another little squeeze, it will actually turn back to being face up. So now that's done its thing. That only now leaves us 2 cards, in this case the 3 of clubs and the 4 of clubs. There's not much you can do with 2 cards, unless you make one pass through the other. That leaves us the 3 now on the through the 4. It's not really very much you can do with 1 card, unless you tickle it. If you tickle it like this, it gets embarrassed and it actually changes colour to the 4 of diamonds, just like that.
Nice.
Okay, I thought that performance by Andy was brilliant. I really did. I thought that he performs Ambitious Classic really well. Ambitious Classic isn't a hard routine to do, but what it has got for it is there's a lot of moves that you have to do over and over again. There's a lot of double lifts and triple lifts and quadruple lifts and Ascanio spreads and back spreads and so on and so forth. And you have to have chops in order to perform that sort of stuff, especially to real people. I do think that the 2 routines go together hand in hand really well. And I think one of the things that I learned from speaking to Andy is the importance of actually thinking ahead of time of sets that you're going to perform to real people and real audiences. And, when you go into a gig, thinking about, okay, you're going to start with this trick, I'm going to transition into this trick, and then this trick, and this trick. And I think that sort of thing is very, very important. Ambitious Classic is great. I will point out that obviously Andy made the black 4 change into a red 4, which is the classic way of doing Larry Jennings' Ambitious Classic. But if you're performing at a wedding, you can make that card into a picture of the bride and groom and just have it specially printed. You're doing a corporate, you can have a logo on there. You can have someone sign a card. You can have someone sign a card beforehand, lose it in the deck, and you can have the signed card appear at the end. I mean, there's so many different ways of doing that. Turning it into a red 4 is great because it's impromptu. You just need a regular deck, but with a little thought, you can actually do anything with this. Anyway, that's Ambitious Classic. That's Andy's second routine. Let's have a look at the third routine right now. Okay, so routine number 3 is by who I consider to be one of the most creative magicians on the planet. His name is Brent Braun, and I'm sure you know him from his many creations over the years, as well as running the brick and mortar, his Facebook group and his brick and mortar shop, and his consultancy work on AGT, and all the various amazing routines he's brought out over the years, and wallets, and Position Impossible, and Zeta wallets, and so on and so forth. Well, this routine is going back a bit. This was a routine that Brent published on a DVD many years ago. I can't remember the name of it. It's I want to say it's Sex, Lies and Videotapes, but it might not be. But it's a great DVD. I remember it for having the ball dropping through the glass counter in a magic shop, which was just cool. It was one of the strongest visuals I'd ever seen at that point. This routine's on there. Now, here's the thing. I've never seen anyone else perform this routine other than Andy. It's not one that I perform. I remember watching it and thinking, oh, that's really good. I'd like to perform it, but I've never actually learnt it or performed it myself. Watching Andy do it made me want to perform it. So I'm going to show you the performance footage of Andy doing this, and then we'll talk about why this is so good.
Kickback Transpo. This is by Brent Braun, and it appears on Dex Lies and Videotapes. Harry,
yes.
Need you to select a card, so I'm going to spread through. You take out a card for me.
This one I got.
Perfect. Nemid, I also need you to select a card. All right, so I'm going to run my thumb down the side here. You shout, stop. Stop. Perfect. Take the card, have a look at it.
Got it. Shall I show the camera?
Yeah, if you want. You can both show the camera.
Got it.
Excellent. Let me place your card back on top of there. That's perfect. In fact, what we will do is just do this. Show you the camera one more time. And place your card back on top of there. So now you're both thinking of a card, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so look, I'm going to try for your card first, all right? All I have to do is just riffle like this. And did I get your card?
You did.
That's not bad, is it? Was that it? Okay, I'm going to try for your card next, Harry.
Go for it.
I'll do something differently with your card. Look, all I have to do is just snap, and one card turns the wrong way round here. Just check it out for me.
Get out of here. No.
That's my card.
Oh.
No, that's your card. Oh, that means that's your card. Right, okay, that's fair
what I
enough.
want.
Look, I'll tell you what, look, I'll turn those face down. I'll tell you what, I will mix them up on the table here. Pick up, just touch one of them for me, Nemid. This one, excellent. Place your hand down on top of that. That means that we have this one here, which is a joker. Watch the world's quickest change. There we go. Now I get the card that was under your hand.
Get out of
the joker,
here.
and that's the end of the trick.
Get out of here. Brilliant.
So yeah, for sure, you're going to need a table for this, right? So this is something that needs a table. Let's get that out of the way at the beginning. But Andy performs in a lot of places where there is a table, so that's totally not an issue. If you're a walk-around performer, you might not want to apply for this particular trick. But most people perform at a table. You don't really need a close-up pad. You can get away with it in any surface, really. But what we have here is the perfect sort of misdirection thing where you don't realize it's happened until you point it out. If you've seen Card Under Box, that's a perfect example. People don't know the cards under the box until you point it out to them. People don't know the deck's under the box until you point it out to them. Well, this is a very similar situation. People don't know that those cards have changed until you physically point it out to them and you tell them and you say, look. And when you do that, you get like this real double take. This is a really strong routine. Again, it's an impromptu trick, anytime, anywhere. And I'll be honest, I'd completely forgotten about this trick. I watched this DVD so long ago. I had it for ages on my I must learn this trick list. And then it just kind of fell away and I forgot about it. And it was watching Andy perform it that made me realise I need to really go back and relearn this and learn it and actually start performing it. One thing that Andy does really well, and I mentioned this before at the beginning of the video, is he's very good at selecting material that he knows other magicians aren't going to do. Really powerful, hard-hitting magic that really makes him it elevates him as a performer over his competition. I've been to wedding fairs in the past, and I've seen other magicians at wedding fairs, and they've been doing an ambitious card with an Omni deck. And I've heard people say, oh yeah, I've seen every magician do that. You want to try and do something different. You want to try and do something unique. You want to try and do something that nobody else is doing. This is a perfect example of that. It's a really great trick, and you can learn it, if you want to. Just, I believe that the original DVD is now available as a download, so you can go and get it, and you can go and learn it. And as I say, the only person I've ever seen do this is Andy. So if you do it, and Brent, obviously. So if you do this, you're going to have something kind of unique going on there. Anyway, let's move on to trick number 4. Okay, so this is The Visitor by Larry Jennings. Now, if you don't know what The Visitor is, I'm going to play you a performance of Andy doing it. So here we go. This is The Visitor by Larry Jennings.
This is The Visitor by Larry Jennings. Nemid, we have here two cards. We have 2 red kings and 2 black kings. Now, I'm often asked, what's the difference between an illusion and a trick? Well, an illusion, if you was to look at like a very broad definition, is what people associate with David Copperfield. So the big stuff, floating across the Grand Canyon, walking through the Great Wall of China, making Claudia Schiffer disappear, all those sort of things, yeah? And a trick is kind of close-up stuff, traditionally, stuff with cards. I'm going to show you a close-up trick. Sorry, a close-up illusion. That would be better, wouldn't it? A close-up illusion. And it uses these cards here on the table. Now, I do need a volunteer, not just yourself, but a card, all right? And the way that we're going to get a card is I'm going to dribble the cards like this. You shout and stop wherever you want.
Go.
There. Okay, and we'll give these a mix-up as well. I don't need to know what your card is, all right? All I need to know at the end of this is what colour it is, all right? And also, if it's a picture card, put it back and swap it for another one.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah? Perfect. Okay, what colour is it?
Black.
It is black, therefore it will remain in between the black kings like this. So take it, leave it face down in between the black kings, and what we will do is we will leave these somewhere in the middle of the deck like this. Now we also have 2 red kings. You can have a look at those. In fact, because your cards are here, you place your hand down on there as well. There's nothing wrong with the 2 red kings, no?
No.
Nothing in between them or anything?
No.
Perfect. This is why it's an illusion, because look, we'll take the 2 red kings. What we have to do is riffle like this, and a card appears in between them. Was your card the 4 of spades?
It was.
Yeah, in between the 2 red kings. Now, I'll tell you what, we will complete the illusion by making the card go back. All right, it's now no longer between the 2 red kings. Lift up your hand. In fact, over here in the middle of the deck, we do have 2 black kings with a card in between them. What was your card again?
4 of spades.
The 4 of spades, thus completing a close-up illusion.
Now, what's interesting is when Andy was actually deliberating which tricks to actually do for this video, he said, I'm going to do The Visitor by Larry Jennings. And then he was sitting there thinking, well, which version should I do? Because there are quite a lot of versions of The Visitor by Larry Jennings. Lots of different isolated Visitor, the classic Visitor. I've got a routine on the Netrix called Boxed Visitor. There's so many different ways of actually doing this routine. And the concept of a card jumping from between 2 kings to another 2 kings is just a really, really strong sequence. It really is. And if you've never seen The Visitor before or any of the variations, you really should go check it out, because there's displays in there that are just simply genius, that would make you think that you are using a dupe, but you're not using a dupe at all. It just really tricks you into thinking that you are. One thing that I've noticed from talking about all these routines to you is that they are classics of magic. I mean, Hellraiser 2, it's been around for years. Ambitious Classic, been around for years. The Visitor, been around for years. Probably the kickback routine is the newest routine out of everything that Andy's shared here, but it's still probably about 10 years old at this point. So what do we learn from this? We learn that one thing that Andy has done to become so successful is he's understood about the importance of hidden gems and the classics of magic. I could ask somebody else to come on this 5x5 and have them perform 5 tricks that they typically like, and it might be the 5 latest tricks that have just been marketed to the magic community. While Andy is going, even though he works in a magic shop, and let's be honest, he's got access to everything. At any point that he wants, he's got access to everything. He's doing classic tricks from 10, 15, 20 years ago. These classic tricks work, and they work for a reason. They work for a reason because they are as strong, if not stronger, than most of the routines that come out today. And The Visitor is no exception. It's a really awesome routine. So, without further ado, we're now going to go into the final trick that Andy thought was one of the strongest tricks that he could perform. Okay, so the final trick that we're going to be looking at is Andy performing Di Vernon's Triumph. let's be honest, this is a classic of Magic that has literally spawned thousands of variations over the years. Hell, I think I've created about 40 different versions of Triumph myself. Half of them are on the Netrix. But there's so many different variations. It's interesting that Andy chose, even though I know he knows a ton of different variations of Triumph, it's interesting that he gravitated to and chose to perform the original version of Triumph. Now, there's a lot of people out there that argue that the original version of Triumph is still the best. And I do agree that it's a beautiful routine. It really is. I mean, obviously, the one downside to it is you require a table, really, with a close-up pad in order to do it. But, you know, when you're in that situation where you have got a table with a close-up pad, the original Triumph really can't be beat. So with that in mind, let's have a look at Andy's performance of Triumph by Di Vernon. Now, I know that everybody that's watching this video has their own version of Triumph that they perform. I know I've got my own version of Triumph. I know that everybody probably has their own version of Triumph. Be honest with me, do you perform the original Di Vernon version of Triumph? Because I'm willing to bet that most people out there don't. I mentioned just a few minutes ago about how Andy tends to gravitate towards classics of Magic. This is a perfect example. He's gravitated towards the original version of Triumph. And I think it's a good call. I forget how good the original version is with all of the new variations that come out over the years. You forget that the original version was pretty much as good as it gets. Go watch that performance of Andy doing it again. The cards are really shuffled face up into face down. You cut packets up, you can see that they're all face up into face down. And with literally no moves, boom. They all sort themselves out except for the selected card. There's not really anything stronger if you actually think about it. So there you go. Di Vernon's Triumph. My challenge to you is to go back and relearn the Vernon Triumph. Because if you do, you'll probably end up performing it an awful lot, especially if you're in a position where you've got a close-up pad. I found that this was a really good choice of a final trick by Andy.
This is Triumph by Di Vernon. Nemid. We have here a deck of cards, yeah. So look, I'm going to give these a shuffle up. Now you can see that that is a fair shuffle, all right? I was a little bit off on either side, but that is a fair shuffle. In fact, look, we'll try this differently, all right? Because there's lots of different ways you can shuffle. That there was known as a weave. This is known as an overhand shuffle. And this here is known as a riffle shuffle, right? I need you to select a card again. So I'm going to run my finger down the side here. All you have to do is shout out, stop.
Stop.
There?
Yep.
We've got a card?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay, now I'm going to get you to shuffle those. You get those and mix up for me. Mix them up. Ah, an overhand shuffle. We like that. That's good.
Being a spectator for you.
Okay, that's good. So look, if I was to go through at this moment and I was to look for your card, you know, that would be cheating, all right? And I want you to see that your card's not on top and it's not on the bottom, all right? What we are going to do is we're going to turn some of the cards face up and we're going to leave some of the cards face down, okay? So some face up, some face down, and we will shuffle these into each other. So now we have some cards face up, some cards that are face up, down, yeah? Mixed up face up and face down. So some that are facing upwards, some that are facing downwards, and some that indeed are facing back to back. 10. It's not your card.
It's a 10.
Yeah, it is. That means I've got approximately 10 seconds and I've already used up 9 talking about it. So look, there we go. In the last second, I will straighten everything out, all right? I'll straighten everything out so that we have one card only. What was your card?
6 of clubs.
The 6 of clubs, which would be the card that was the wrong way round.
So there you go, guys. That is another magic stuff in the bag. I want to say thank you to Alakazam and thank you to Andy Smith for finding time to film these 5 tricks for me the last time I was at Alakazam HQ. They really are a great choice, and it shows, as I said, the choice of material shows that, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants and we rush out to try and learn the latest and greatest magic trick when really we should be looking at the tricks that came out 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that's how Andy has built up a really strong reputation for himself as a performer, and you could as well. What I want you to do now is let me know in the comments down below what you think of Andy's choices. Are those 5 tricks that you would have chosen? Do you perform those 5 tricks? Do you not? What would your 5 tricks be? And who would you like to see me do this to next? This 5x5 special on a particular performer. I would love to know. I'm going to be back again with another video very, very soon. It's going to be tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, go check out the Netrix. It's www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com. We've got over 300 courses, 300 individual tricks. There's at least 20 triumphs on there, I reckon. We've also got a massive sleight school with all the different sleights on that you could possibly want with every single type of genre. We're just starting to add stage routines on there as well, and we've got a 0.06% cancellation rate, because when you're on there, nobody ever cancels. Let me know what you think. Go and check it out if you can. It's thenetrix.com, and I'm going to be back again very, very soon with another video. Thanks very much for watching. My name's Craig from Magic TV.